everyone. I'm Nivedha, lecturer, Department of English SF, Sita Lakshminaramaswamy College, Trichy. Today's video is all about history of English literature, starting from Jacobean age to Restoration age. The Jacobean age lasted from 1603 to 1625, during the reign of King James I, who succeeded Queen Elizabeth I. This period was politically unstable and deeply influenced literature. King James I strongly believed in the divine right of kings, which means he believed that the king's authority directly came from God. This belief created frequent conflicts between the monarchy and parliament, leading to dissatisfaction among the people. One of the major political events of this period was the Gunpowder Plot of 1605, a failed attempt to assassinate King James I by a group of Catholic conspirators. This event increased fear, suspicion, and political tension, which is reflected in the dark tone of Jacobean literature. William Shakespeare continued to write powerful plays during the Jacobean age. Two of his important works from this period are The Tempest and King Lear. The Tempest is a romantic tragic comedy that revolves around Prospero, the rightful Duke of Milan, who lives in Ireland with his daughter Miranda. Using his magical powers, Prospero creates a storm to bring his enemies to the island. In the end, Prospero forgives his enemies and restores harmony. King Lear is a tragic play that tells the story of King Lear, who decides to divide his kingdom among his three daughters, based on the expression of love. His two elder daughters deceive him with false praise, while the youngest, Cordelia, speaks honesty and is disowned. Lear's poor judgment leads to betrayal, madness, and suffering, highlighting the themes of pride, authority, loyalty, and human suffering. And Johnson, who was a major dramatist of the Jacobean age, known for his satirical comedies. Wolfone is a comedy of greed set in Italy. Wolfone pretends to be seriously ill so that greedy people hope to inherit his wealth. Characters like Walter, Corbaccio, and Corvino try to flatter him with gifts. In the end, their greedy leads to their downfall, and the play exposes human corruption and moral hypocrisy. The next work is The Alchemist. Alchemist is a comedy that revolves around subtle, fire, and dull comets who cheat people by promising to turn base metal into gold. Each character represents human greed and foolish ambition. John Webster is known for his dark and tragic plays. The Duchess of Malfi is a revenge tragedy that tells the story of a young widow, the Duchess who secretly marries her steward, Antonio. Her brothers Ferdinand and the Cardinal oppose their marriage and take cruel revenge. Francis Bacon was a philosopher and essayist who contributed greatly to English prose. Bacon's essays are short, clear, and practical writings that deal with topics like truth, ambition, friendship, power, and morality. His essays offer advice based on experience and wisdom that reflects the scientific and rational spirit of Jacobean age. The Carolinids began in 1625 with the accession of King Charles I, and it ended in 1649 with his execution. This period was marked by severe political instability, religious tension between Anglicans, Puritans, and Catholics further disturbed the nation. Heavy taxation, censorship, and misuse of power finally lead to the English Civil War between the royalty, that is called as cavaliers, and the parliamentarians, those are called as roundheads. The war ended with the defeat of King Charles I, and in 1649 he was executed. John Donne, Songs and Sonnets. Songs and Sonnets is a collection of poems dealing with love, passion, faith, and human relationship. The next is George Herbert, The Temple. The Temple is a collection of religious poems that reflect Herbert's deep spiritual devotion. The poems explore the relationship between God and the human soul. Simple language, sincerity, and devotion are the key feature of his work. Let us talk about Cavalier poets. The Cavalier poets supported King Charles I and celebrated loyalties, love, beauty, pleasure, and honor. Their poetry is graceful, musical, and optimistic, often following the themes of Carpe Diem, that means seize the day. To his choirmistress, the famous Carpe Diem poem, the speaker urges his beloved to enjoy love and life before the time, and death destroys youth and beauty. The poem blends romantic passion with logical arguments, showing both metaphysical and cavalier qualities. Hesperides is a collection of lyrical poems. His poems are simple, musical, and joyful. Puritan age lasted from 1649 to 1660. This period began after the execution of King Charles I and marked the end of monarchy in England. Then England became a commonwealth and Oliver Cromwell ruled as the Lord Protector. The Puritans believed in strict morality, discipline, simplicity, and religious seriousness. Theaters and entertainment were discouraged, and leadership became religious, moral, and philosophical in nature. John Milton is the greatest writer of the Puritan age. His famous work is Paradise Lost. The Paradise Lost is an epic poem that tells the story of the fall of man, the disobedience of Adam and Eve. After being tempted by Satan, the poem explores themes of obedience, free will, sin, and redemption. The next writer is John Bunyan. His famous work is The Pilgrim's Progress. It is a religious allegory. It narrates the journey of Christians who traveled from the city of destruction to the celestial city. The journey represents a Christian spiritual struggle against sin and temptation. It emphasizes faith, perseverance, and salvation. The next author is Thomas Hobbes. His famous work is Leviathan. It is a political and philosophical work. Hobbes argues that without a strong government, human life would be chaotic. He supports absolute authority to maintain peace and order, reflecting the political instability of that time. Restoration age began in 1660 with the restoration of monarchy under King Charles II. After the strict Puritan rule of Oliver Cromwell, with the return of the king, theatres were reopened, art and entertainment flourished, and society reacted against Puritan seriousness. This period is known for political satire, realism, and wit. Important political events of this age include the Great Plague of 1665 and the Great Fire of London in 1666, which deeply affected English society. The period also witnessed conflicts between the Whigs and Tories, reflecting political instability. The John Dryden. His famous work is Absalom and Christopher. John Dryden is the most important writer of the Restoration Age and is often called as the father of English criticism. Absalom and Achitophel is a political satire written in verse, all for love. It is a tragic play based on the story of Antony and Cleopatra. Unlike Shakespearean version, Dryden focuses on emotional conflict and personal sacrifice, emphasizing love over political power. William Congreve. His famous work is The Way of the World. It is a famous comedy of manners. It satirizes the artificial behavior, hypocrisy, and marriage customs of Restoration society through witty dialogue and complex characters. Samuel Pepys. Pepys' diary is an important historical document. It gives a first-hand account of daily life in Restoration England, including events like the Great Plague and the Great Fire of London. The diary is valued for its honesty and realism. After famous work is Orinoco. It is a prose narrative that tells the story of an African prince who is betrayed and sold into slavery. The work highlights themes of love, honor, colonialism, and human dignity, and it is considered one of the earliest English novels. The Restoration Age reflects a shift from religious seriousness to worldliness, wit, and political awareness. Writers like Dryden, Congreve, Pepys, and Afterburn made this age rich in satire, drama, and prose, shaping modern English literature. Thank you, everyone.